good morning, everyone, and welcome to the CCG hour. It is great to be alive. Well, by now you know that. And you know that is my opening statement. It's a wonderful Friday morning. The birds are chirping. You are alive. Things are good, and that is a good reason to just be happy. I have a guest this morning. Hold on, we'll talk to her in a little while. But I just want to ask you a question. When last you just laugh? I mean, not for any particular reason. Well, you know, some people around you might think you're going crazy, but that's okay. When last you just take a good laugh? You know, some people you have to wait for a joke, but when last you take a really good laugh just because? All right, so that's a good question for you to think about. It's a pity the program, I don't think I'll have a lot of jokes, but it's good because I will be having a good laugh. I tend to do that a lot. But this morning, I do have with me Patricia from the Patient Kidney Foundation in Grenada. We have had Patricia, how long? A long time ago you have come on. Yeah. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Pastor, and morning, listeners. Nice to be here.
Yes. It's good that you're laughing at the joke already. So let's go with that first. No, of course, because I'm already asking the people when last they laugh. So let's see if you're already a comedian, and or at least if you could, you know, fit that.
Okay. As Pastor said that, it came to my mind that someone sent me a nice little thought some months ago, and when I looked at it, I thought, wow, I love it. So I shared it. You may not find a lot of humor in it, but for me, I did. It goes like this. Do not worry if people or everyone do not like you. Because not everyone has good taste.
You're happy. I like it. It is funny. It's true.
I loved it because apart from it being a bit humorous, there's a lot of sense.
No, there is a lot of sense.
It's deep.
Yes, no, it is.
It's deep.
So say it over again. I like
do not worry if people do not like you. Not everyone has good taste.
Okay, so if you are going to stand on the side of the depth of it and trying to figure it out, okay, maybe, well, then you might distract yourself from the program. But I could definitely see the humor because I think a lot of people may not be able to take me on. You know, for some people it's like, oh, she's just too much. You know, it's like she's big-mouthed, she's too brave, she's too big, talk too much. That's how somebody might call it. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. They just don't have good taste because I mean, like, hello, if you want your day to go well, just come and hang out by me. Exactly. So it has. I like it. Don't worry if people don't like you.
Not everyone has
good taste. I like that one. It's a pity we can't put it up somewhere. Okay, great. Yes,
send it for you.
I like it. I definitely like it. Of course, it sounds a little bit cocky. You know, some people might say, "Oh, you're being arrogant like that." No, but yeah, especially if you know that is really who you are. Because I mean, you can have some really, some kind of questionable attitudes that can really throw people off, and it's not because they don't have good taste, but generally, yeah. Because some people really just don't like, so-called don't like you with no real founded reason. It's like, I just don't like you. Like some people may just don't like me because, as we said, oh, I don't know, she's just too much. And it's like, I don't think I will like her. But have you ever interacted with me?
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that.
And apart from that, it's human nature that we all would like to be liked.
Yeah.
So if you realize that, you know, you're the kind of person, you may not be that popular per se, that sort of thing, it may tend to bother you a bit. And you tell yourself, well, perhaps I need to look at myself. Do I need to change anything about me? That kind of thing. But hey, you can do what you want. We cannot please everyone in this world.
No, not at all.
Just continue being yourself, doing what you do, especially if you know it's the right thing, that sort of thing. Some people would like you, some wouldn't. And if they don't like you, hey, it's not because it's any fault of your own. They just do not have that taste to see there's more to you than
just what they don't like.
They don't like about you.
Definitely. Because a lot of the don't like things, really and truly, it's really not founded. I mean, it's one thing to say, I do not like this attitude in someone when you get very specific. But when we just generalize it, well, I don't like you. It's like, you know, yeah, you're right. So, we're talking kidney foundation business? As I said, it's been a while. I know Kidney Day, World Kidney Day.
Yes, was in March. It was a few months ago. We had, basically, I have to say, we had a successful time. We did the best that we could have done, given many constraints.
Right.
But the highlight of what we usually do around World Kidney Day is, like, for instance, we would have our health fair and so on, but we weren't able to do that for various reasons. But we did what we could with respect to sensitizing and educating as much as possible.
Okay.
You know, so all in all, given all the constraints, we were satisfied. We think we did our best. We put our best foot forward, and that's the most I can say about that. God willing, next year, we are already in the process of planning for that. We'll
be able to add some. Okay.
Hopefully with, well, we know COVID is there, something we have to live with, but hopefully certain things that we may not have been able to do during, you know, that period, we will be able to do better next year. So we're looking forward. We're hopeful, and we're charting the way forward.
Okay, great. Well, I particularly asked you here today to share because, you know, that conversation that we had recently, where you shared that there has been a noticeable rise in the number of cases that have need for dialysis, right? So I really wanted us to kind of regroup, so to speak. As I said, it has been a while and we have not spoken kidney per se. And really, I mean, I know you might not have statistics per se, because I doubt there has been any study in Grenada to suggest why the cases have been on the rise. But I would definitely want us to talk a little bit about that. In number, well, the cases, you know, what you all have found, but also the process. If someone goes into the hospital, you know, right here in Grenada, and then in need of dialysis, if it is that it has gotten that place. I mean, in the first case, we don't want it to reach there, because it's not just, well, you're sick with your kidney, so, you know, we need dialysis as an immediate, you know, as an automatic thing. But if someone, you know, have the need for that, what is the kind of process? I know for sure that we never really spoke about that in the past, so I want us to go there. So let's talk about the rising cases first that you all have noticed, and then we'll go to that procedure.
Well, as you rightly said, we may not necessarily have stats per se, but like just to give viewers an example, like for instance, just this week I would have collected the government or Ministry of Health contribution for which they usually give per patient per month, and the check was written out for 22 patients, right? Now that's 22 that they can afford to assist.
Right.
There is more on the waiting list. How many, I'm not in a position to say, right? But we know it could be as much as a dozen, not sure. But so don't quote me, right? But apart from the 22 that government is currently assisting, there is more on the waiting list.
And how does that waiting list, okay, if I get right now, for example, on the so-called waiting list, and I know, again, you would not be able, I don't want to pin you down to give a definite time and say, oh, 1 week, 2 weeks, because I know you're not in a position to say that. But because I also know that people usually, the public, you know, you tend to wonder, well, oh my God, if something, you know, where I need this kind of help and my name goes on a list, just how much time might I have to think? What am I really waiting on? Am I just waiting for them to go through a process where they have to fill a form? Or is it that I'm waiting for, I don't know, for all who's on the list to no longer be on the list for me to be there? I mean, it's so, I don't even want to make a joke at all out of this, because I know it's a very serious situation. But how do you understand what I mean? Just how long might that wait be?
Well, you sort of hit the nail on the head, but not, you didn't actually say it. But viewers, it's a situation where, sad to say, that the only how that you would get some space is when a patient or two die.
Oh my.
And as we speak, recently, just for last month, we would have had about 4 deaths. I made a note of it. Currently, I was trying to go through what I had in my mind. For this year alone, it could be as much as 8 patients died.
Wow.
The few...
and these are persons, of course, that when you say patients here, we're talking about persons who have been on or was taking dialysis as treatment.
Some had not. I think either 1 or 2 may not have actually started yet. But and 1 or 2, it might have been a stage where they started, had a few treatments, and they would have succumbed.
Right.
There are a few of our old patients that we would have been acquainted with. They're part of the figure. But all in all, it's about either 8 or 9 patients that would have died thus far for the year. Today's Friday, just as recent as Tuesday, we lost another patient. From the perspective, if you need help from government or the Ministry of Health, once you are, if I can put it that way, diagnosed with kidney failure, there is a social worker who is stationed at the hospital.
General hospital.
Yes, the general hospital. That person, her name is Nurse Gilliam. It's safe for me to call her name.
Yeah, because I mean that's public information. Yes.
She's Nurse Gilliam. You would have to contact her, whether it's the patient themselves or the patient next of kin or their caregiver would contact Nurse Gilliam at the hospital. She's a social worker. She coordinates with the Ministry of Health. And she will take all the pertinent information about you, your income, your whole social standing, that sort of thing. And that information is passed to the Ministry of Health. All right? And that information with all those who request an assistance would be taken to cabinet.
Right.
And based on the information and so on, the cabinet has the final decision in stating who at this point in time would get assistance and how many, if so. All right?
And that in itself is a process by itself.
So
however long that process itself takes,
is, as I said, based on how things are going right now, especially where you have this vast increase, it's a situation where the list, some of the patients, as a patient dies, then it may make room for another one.
And during this wait, because we're being very practical here. So if it is that there is a list with 50 persons who are in need of assistance, government assistance or assistance from you at the Kidney Foundation, and the state, well, let me not say government assistance, because it's the state. The government, the government is really just administrates for the state. When you really think about it, we tend to say government, as the poor government is the one in charge of doing everything. That is not the case. We are the ones as citizens that's really doing it through the government. So if it is that the state is only able to assist or has budgeted to assist, let's say 20 persons at a time, it means that we have 30 persons waiting. And in order for any of those from that 30 to get assistance or to get onto the budget now to be able, somebody in the 20 persons that's being assisted, somebody has to die. it's sad, but we just have to be very practical. That is the situation.
That's how it is, really. That's how it is.
That is how it is. All right.
Or, and don't quote me, or there is a situation where government find the necessary funds through whatever means to give a few more dollars for either one or two patients.
Right.
Because up to a certain time, I think it was last year, so many things happening, you know, you tend to forget.
Yeah, the exact dates,
we did get the information that, hey, government cannot assist more than 20 persons
at a time,
because it has been that stressful for them in terms of, you know, budgetary allocation, you know.
And I've been doing a little bit of math while you're talking. I'm writing, but math I'm doing. I must write it down because I'm not the best math student.
Neither am I. I have it written. I have certain information written down here.
So I was just thinking, so let me just see if we have the same thing. Because while you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, okay, people are listening to what we're saying and might be quick to say, oh, well, how much money so could it ever be? One treatment of dialysis is approximately how much dollars? About 700?
No, it's $695.
Well, there's 700. So I put in 7. I put 7.
I don't want you to put 7.
Well, yeah, but 695. So we roughly, okay, so let us deliberately approximate for our purposes.
It's 695 per treatment.
695.
And a patient should have 3 treatments a week.
Oh, a week. You see, I multiplied by a month. Papa also trouble started already. Wait, so you have it there. Let's go down that road. No, we need to go down that road because if we don't, persons who tend, sadly, yes, as citizens, we tend to say a lot of wrong things, right? And especially as we are talking state and government and whatnot and fund, you know, being able to assist, people usually say wrong things when it comes to government allocated funding and things like, oh, well, it's not a lot of money for them to give. Let's really get down to this. So if it is $695 for one treatment and the person has to get 3, should be getting 3 treatments per week. That per week is how much?
Per week you have to find $2,085 for 3 treatments.
Right. And then of course for 1 month that person will that have to multiply now by,
you would have to find $8,340.
Right.
And if you want me to go further...
Yes, go further. Because a few points I want to raise here, but go ahead,
just
go
for
further.
the hell of it, my math, I'm not that good on maths, dear people. But for an individual, for a year, if I'm correct, you would have to find $180. 100,000.
Yes.
Sorry, 100,000 and $80 for a year to fund yourself if you are doing this totally on your own.
Well, even if you're doing it by the government, who's coming up with this? So let's go back a little bit. So let's go back to the week. Now, if for 1 week someone, a patient or your family member, your child, your mother, your father, your whoever it is that you are giving care to, if someone is diagnosed with kidney failure and they need dialysis, you have to come up with $2,085 every week. Now, $2,085 is not even a lot of people in Grenada's salary for the month. So people who are listening to us and viewing us this morning will have to look at the figures. We might not be mathematicians, but we have enough sense to just simply work out this basic thing to decide whether it is cheaper to take time and care for yourself or for you to come up with this kind of money if you leave yourself in the situation where it comes to the point where you will need dialysis. I mean, this is where we're really going with this. So, because who works in Grenada? Let's be real now. To have $8,340 just to give dialysis to a next of kin, because we're not talking about every other thing that the person needs. We're not talking about you caring for your family and caring for yourself. We're talking about this one individual in your home, your husband or your wife or your mother or your father, whoever, who does not have insurance. And even if they had insurance, I mean, hello, this is still a lot of money. A whole lot, even with insurance. Now, how much out of this that state funds is able to fund? Are they funding the whole amount per month per person?
Okay, good. Nice question, Pastor, because the government, excuse me, they give $1,000 per patient.
Well, then that is one
so
and a half treatment.
Out of that $1,000, it's $695. And that's what they can afford.
But of course,
no, the patient now would have to put I think it's $350 or something like that, to make up
just for
another treatment.
Exactly.
Right? And if in the days when the foundation things was much better.
Financially,
we used to assist our patients every month. It may not have been all.
Right.
Right? But we might have had about a dozen or something like that we would assist every month.
Okay.
Yes, it was like that.
Right.
So you would get a treatment from government, and you would get a treatment assistance, a treatment from Kidney Foundation.
Right.
So you could have come up with
so let's say 1
funds.
week may have been okay. So, between the Kidney Foundation and the government, an individual may have had 1 week covered.
Right. But most of the time, due to the same funds, we may not have been able to even assist the patients. So there are times when they only would depend on what government is giving them, and they would have to finance the other part for themselves, so they would end up with 2 treatments a week.
Right. But that is
some cases, there are times when it boiled down to just 1 treatment. They might have been able, and this is not good for them, period. But it's the reality of how things go.
Because you're saying that if government can only give 1,000, and this is still, and we want to stress this, we're not saying that the state is able to help everyone. And remember, these are just the persons that have been able to be assisted. So that means that on average, an individual who is being assisted will still have to come up with at least $7,000, because it's 8,000 something. So at least that, it still come back to what we're saying. Who has this kind of money? Let's be real. Who I mean, this is a real, I mean, I don't want to be really, dramatic here, but for somebody like this, they're in a state of crisis.
It is. And whilst we are on the finances, it's just to emphasize why this is such a troubling issue in our country. Because just suppose government, government Ministry of Health, right, could have assisted people in Grenada with renal failure, to give them the 3 treatments a week. All right? Now, we're talking about not 1 patient, not 2. In this case, now we're talking about, like I said, the last check was for 22 persons, right? So if government had to find, just as a rough example, to say to assist patients, let us say on average 22 patients, 3 times a week, X amount of money per month for a year.
We have the 100
for 22 patients. At that figure, it would come up, and I could be wrong, so please bear with me. You can do it on your own.
And you could call us and tell us, but we flow in with what we have here.
It would come up, it would cost government $2,201,700, I think, and $60.
All right. No, so, and can you imagine now, in the budget, in government budget, the Minister of Health standing up and saying, we want to budget to assist only 22 individuals in Grenada, and we have to give, for 1 year, we have to come up with 2.2 million something. And that is a serious step, because it means that people who are, as we said, we deliberately want to deal with some of our mindsets as well, right? So those of us who might be saying things like, well, the government don't help him, because we hear these wrong statements made, and it's not about which government. Sadly, people say a lot of things, regardless of who is in leadership. So are you, as a citizen who's listening here, are you willing to hear in the state's budget $2.2 something million being allocated for individuals who, for 22 individuals, because we still leave out a whole lot, for only 22 individuals who have to get dialysis? And that is only dialysis alone that they need. We're not talking about every other condition. We're not talking about cancer. We're not talking about diabetes. We're not talking about, oh my goodness, I could make a whole list and we wouldn't be finished today, of all the other foundations and causes and whatnot that government has to still fund, or at least try to assist. And so, oh boy, I mean, this kind of statistics is what is frightening.
So that is why in the past, from time to time, you would hear us say, I mean, when I say us, I'm talking about the Kidney Foundation, why it is such a troubling crisis issue. And we would have said, I would have said it many times, that if we continue on this trend, the amount of patients who would need government's assistance, and even if they could, just this illness alone can cripple the Ministry of Health budget. And you know, sometimes it's hard for persons to kind of wrap your mind around it. But as I say, I'm not good with maths. I just try, right? So I could be incorrect. But it's just to give you an idea of how serious it is. All right? It's a very troubling situation with kidney disease in Grenada, and apart from it busting the Ministry of Health's vote, we have to think in terms of the age group that tends to be affected. It is from as early as in their 20s. In some cases, it may go down to, we get a few patients who might be 70 plus, but for the most part, it is young adults. So
right? We're talking about people in their
young adults, 40-something, 30-something, 40-something. And you're talking about people in their prime.
In their productive
We are talking about our workforce. So I think, folks, you could understand where I'm trying to come from.
Okay, so as you said, workforce, and we're talking money partly, then I'm immediately thinking NIS. If someone is on dialysis, right, this person is, let's just say, is a teacher or another public servant. Every day, because you're saying now a whole 3 days a week, this person has to go for dialysis. Well, then they walk in. I mean, I don't know, I'm generalizing it here, but I'm deliberately generalizing it. But of course, for you to, set me right, of course. But I'm kind of just doing, again, the quick economics behind it. Because if this person is taking dialysis, let's just say Monday, let's just say they have the money, but Monday, Wednesday, let's say, I suppose on Friday, or maybe Saturday, but let's just say those 3 days. How does dialysis affect the individual? Will they be able to go to work the Tuesday and function fully?
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's one of the issues. Most of our patients, excuse me, most of our patients are not employed.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Some of them might be employed, and there's some, as I say, the great majority are not. They're not employed. All right. Some would have indicated to us, hey, you know, they was working due to the illness and so on and so on. After a time, they couldn't. So you have that issue, plus the home setting. They might have been the breadwinner. Okay. So you understand where we
going with that
from.
Oh yes.
You have in some cases where it might be a single parent and he or she is affected. There now you have child or children. You know, you understand where I'm coming from. Even if you may have siblings or you may have an extended family who, because these are some of the questions that the social worker would delve into. Us as Kidney Foundation, if we are approached, you know, we would try to find out a lot about that setting to see how we could assist, you know, the family or who and the foundation could come together and see how we could meet each other halfway, because, you know, we don't like to just turn people away.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
you have to be very realistic.
sometimes we have to say, just like how government Ministry of Health list is, we have to put them on the
list as well.
On the waiting list, because that's like that's how it is.
But then we raising possibility of having a sister or relatives. Let's be really practical now. Even if you and I are sisters, I love you, but I have my whole stuff going on too, and that's another reality that we cannot pretend, because we will hear people saying things like, hey, and she have family and he have family, why they in hell? Let's be real now, because I love you or you love me, but you have 4 children, they're all in school, maybe one is in university, and I come down with this condition. You love me a lot, you know, but you still don't have $6.95 to give me when the week come. And that is another reality. So even if I go for help and someone says, oh, well, she have a sister, Patricia working in the ministry, man, Patricia have money, you know, we just say these things too. Yeah, but Patricia's money has to take care as well of Patricia's family, because Patricia has a mortgage to pay. She has her 4 children to send to school that she has already committed to, and she has, oh my goodness, she has to live to, and she already maybe exceeds her income because her husband died last year. And these are the real realities.
That you raised that, because this is this is the reality of it. You have in families that they start off very well assisting the individual, but just like you said, life
is happening.
Life hits us, all right? And so they cannot continue with the amount that would have given in the beginning.
Right.
So you would find out the individuals have to have different fundraising activities. And as we all know, there are so many causes out there, right? There are individuals every day that has health issues as well as other issues that they would be asking the general public
for help,
for assistance in different ways. And so especially with COVID, I mean, sometimes people might say, "Oh, well, everything
is COVID," but
it did
impact. Yes,
it has impacted us very negatively. So people's purse has diminished somewhat. So in the past, where they might have given you a $20 donation,
now they give you 5.
As you know, right?
That is the truth.
So it is very, very tight. It's a very difficult situation, and so it's not just that, people may feel, well, okay, Kidney Foundation, perhaps we exaggerating. No, we're not exaggerating. And I mean, we have a lot more awareness to do. It puts a certain amount of pressure on us, because you're thinking, am I going to come out too strong? Am I going to be frightening people? Am I going to be bombarding them with a whole lot of information to make them feel scared? Because here they are again talking about this kidney disease. But this is the stage we're at, and like it or not, this is what Kidney Foundation in the very near future would have to be in people's face morning, noon, and night, for us to get it home that there is this illness here, and perhaps just before we leave, we would just get into some of the main ways in which persons could come down with kidney failure.
Well, maybe let's just do that one time, and then we can take a quick break. Yeah. So let's just do that
because
one time.
On the other hand, we do not want it to appear that, hey, Grenadians just living reckless and it's your fault, because sometimes people might figure, hey, it's their fault in the first place.
Why should I even bother to help?
So why should I bother to help them? No, that's very unkind. That's not so. The two main reasons, or the two main ways in which persons can come down with kidney failure is and I'm stressing, uncontrolled diabetes or high blood pressure. There is a lot of us that is diabetic that have high blood pressure, and you're living your normal life. You have certain restrictions, yes, in terms of diet. There's certain things lifestyle that you need to, like, exercise more and things like that, yes. And you are doing all the things that you need to do. So your blood pressure, whether it's medication you have to take, whether it's you take it in terms of your diabetes, how regular perhaps you need to check your blood and all of that. You're doing all the things that you need to do, and you're good to go. You're fine. There's some of us that diagnosed, and for whatever reason, we fail to take our medication when we're supposed to take it. Certain things that we're supposed to eat and drink, we're not supposed to eat and drink, or perhaps how we prepare it and all of that. We don't follow those guidelines. So our pressure, our diabetes is not properly controlled or managed. And if this happens without going into the specifics from the medical standpoint, like Ms. Hopkins would,
yes,
right? But just ordinarily, it would silently, slowly, over a period of time, affect our kidneys. And it is said that sometimes when you start to have signs of problems with your kidneys, it's already perhaps too late. So in a case where you are aware that you're diabetic, you are aware you have high blood pressure, and you are told, hey, this is the lifestyle you need to lead, this is the diet you need to follow, this is the medication you need to take, and when you have to take it and all of that, please let us try and do that. But of course, the best thing is prevention. One of the ways in which we can know what's going on with ourselves, our bodies, once a year at least, let us try to go to your doctor, whoever that person is, and the basic tests can be done so that we know what's going on with us.
Right.
All right? Because most of the ailments there that is creating havoc with us as human beings, they tell us that if we had an idea what was taking place in the early stage, the outcome could be different. So, like, in everything, how they used to say, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. All right, so in the case with kidney disease, kidney failure, we are just saying to us, please, these two main causes, let us try and do better as much as possible. Although we have not had, and this is something Kidney Foundation in the very near future would like to advocate for, we would have to find out how we can get it, whether it be research or a study, survey, but we need to know, since 2007 when the foundation started and when we first started having cases, at least we were aware of this illness in the country, 2007 to now, there's this drastic increase. We would like to know why.
What's causing it?
Is it our diet and lifestyle that has changed so drastically? Is it, on the other hand, which we know there is a condition called polycystic kidneys, which runs in certain families? All right, so at some stage in your life, especially coming down to your 30s and 40s, if you from a family that has this thing called polycystic kidneys, it starts to show up itself around that time. And because one of the main things with this particular illness, it ends up with your kidneys failing.
Okay, let's take a pin there, take the break, because we'll be amazed at how much time we have left. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, seeing that we mentioned the diabetes and high blood pressure, we will talk as well about medication side effects, but we'll do that as soon as we return. And given the speed with which time is flying by, we will just be able to cover how persons can again get involved. We're not in a hurry, but we'll just mention that, and then I'm sure you will be very happy to come back again. I will be happy to have you at least for us to continue this if it is that we need to do so, right? So we'll take a quick break. We are going to be right back. Check your pod, do whatever you have to do, and come right back and be here with us so we can tie up the program. Wow.
You are my strength, strength like no other, strength like no other, reaches to me. You are my hope, hope like no other, hope like no other, reaches to me. In the fullness of your grace, in the power of your name, you lift me up, you lift me up. Let's sing. Unfailing love, stronger than mountains, deeper than ocean, reaches
Well, thank you very much for staying with us. And just during the break, you know, we were just continuing to chat about what we are talking about, the kidney and all of that, and of course some of the other causes. We know, in the interest of time, there is no way we can really delve into all of the causes. What we are just mentioning today, having shocked you with the budget, we just mentioning the main ways or the main contributors that we found, right? So it's the polycystic kidneys, which is hereditary, and then the diabetes and high blood
uncontrolled
diabetes
and high blood pressure.
Side effects, because I know we chatted about that, and I find it rather interesting because a lot of people, whether it be ignorance, well, I think it is ignorance, and I mean here ignorance meaning that you just don't have the knowledge, did not make yourself available possibly to get the knowledge. Many people, they go to the doctor for whatever is the condition, and they're like, well, I go to the doctor and I get medicine, and of course, and it's good because you're following the doctor's advice and taking your medication. Problem is, the medication, some of them can and do have, I mean, every drug has side effects in any event. So as we were talking about, you know, when you were sharing that little thing about your experience, if you can just tell us, I know you won't have a list of, you know, medications or diseases that the medication for it would have, you know, particular side effects that affect the kidney, but let's just talk about that a little bit.
Okay, like for instance, there might be some medication that you may have to take for whatever ailment it is. But whilst it would, I wouldn't say cure, but while it would do what it's supposed to do, like for instance, in my case, there was a time when my cholesterol level was pretty high. And I had to be put on medication for a period of time to lower my cholesterol level. And whatever the doctor had put me on, it worked excellent because my cholesterol level went down beautifully. In order for her to know that, she would have had to send me for another test after I would have finished taking the medication. So when the results came back, she said, hey, oh, it's wonderful. This is just where we need to be. Here is a list of some of the things that you should not, at the time, I couldn't eat and drink because it would have a bearing on the... Yes. So she said to me, hey, everything is under control now. It does not mean to say you're going to pig out, going to go back and pig out on all the things here. Now that you know what the situation is, your cholesterol level is fine, do everything within moderation.
Right.
Now and again, you can have whatever it is. You can have your chocolates, you can have your cake.
But it's 20-80 rule. 20% of having
yes.
it, 80% of doing that thing.
Because I wouldn't want you to have to go back on that medication. Because and I smiled and I said, why? And that is one of the good things I would advise anyone. Please have a physician that you can talk to.
Oh, yes.
You can ask him or her a question and they wouldn't feel, why are you asking me that? I am the doctor. I said this to you. Just follow what I said.
Not at all.
So I said to her, hey, why? And then she said to me, excuse me, I feel as if I want to cough. She said to me, whilst the medication is excellent, as you see, it has brought it down. However, the side effects can damage your kidneys. And she, knowing my involvement in Kidney Foundation, she knew that would send alarm bells in my head. She said, yes, it can affect the kidneys, it can affect the liver.
Oh boy.
Right? So one of so that is one aspect of it. We can be, some of us, you have a headache or you have a toothache or whatever it is, we may quick to go
and buy multi-symptom and all of those
whatever it is, and take painkillers for the slightest thing. Now, and well, of course, these things, they tell you how to take it, and you would do that. Sometimes what you may find happening is that we may mix the medication. While we're taking this, we might go on and take something else. Now, there might be something in medication A that you were taking, which in medication B don't mesh, do
Right,
not
it's
coincide,
right.
and it can create a problem. And if it's something that you're taking over a period of time, regularly, slowly, it's affecting one of our two friends there,
Okay.
kidneys, liver, over a period of time. So in essence, what we're saying, sometimes medication and certain drugs, not all the time, but it could, for whatever reason, affect that organ.
The kidney as
right?
well. Right.
There are times when perhaps it could be, what is it? A urinary tract infection.
Yes.
It could be that, where over a period of time you didn't realize that, you had this issue, and silently could have had a bearing on
that as well.
on the kidneys.
Can holding in your urine at all have any real bearing? Everybody, of course, doctors say don't hold it in, let it go. We say that, we say it almost jokingly sometimes, but does it really, can it quickly and so impact the kidney?
I think yes, it can. That is why it is said that when you once, especially in a position where you can use the washroom
And
empty,
do what you have to do.
empty your bladder, because it's waste and it needs to get out of there. And constantly we're doing that. It can
if you
have
continue to-
it
right.
can have a bearing. Another thing that perhaps could affect the kidneys, you might have had, not even realizing it. Sometimes you could have been in an accident or something. When I say it could be a vehicular accident, or sometimes, now I'm kind of going out on a limb by saying this, but it could be sometimes you could have had a serious fall. You didn't even realize that how serious it was.
Right.
And who knows, it could have done
Some
something
damage
to
there.
one of our little people inside there. And not knowing it goes undetected. As we age, older we get, our bodies do not necessarily function the way it should. There's certain things that perhaps when you're a few years younger, it would have quick to get up and go. But we're older now, we get a little bit slow and so on. And it could also have an effect,
on it.
on the kidneys.
Alcohol.
Oh, yes.
We have a few more minutes, so let's talk. I know we wouldn't finish with alcohol, but yeah, let's touch alcohol.
Abuse, because one would say, well, what's wrong with drinking alcohol? A little drink, how we call it, a seasonal, or
A glass of wine for your birthday, to have dinner.
Nothing wrong with that. Or you take a shot of Guinness, or you take.
I don't think let's take a shot of Guinness is a bottle. I think it's a whole bottle. We might have to ask one of the men in the studio, but I think it's a glass or a bottle.
Whatever.
A shot is a little thing, so Anyhow, Patricia, go ahead. Sorry.
Whatever it is, no one is saying there's nothing wrong, because I take the occasional drink of something.
Which one?
Believe it or not, I drink the dark one. I drink the dark one, but that is very
Very
rare,
occasional, right.
No one is saying that you cannot have a drink.
Yeah.
It's the abuse.
Right.
And that is not, because remember, some of us, especially if you're not taking a track of what's happening with your body, not going for a checkup or anything, and at times our bodies tell us,
oh yes,
I'm not feeling 100%,
but we push it and we function.
But we say, well, it's gas, it's whatever.
Oh
it
yes,
is.
watch me. In gas, okay, anyhow, go ahead.
It's
because
gas.
if we interfere with gas today, we won't finish.
It's whatever it is.
Yes.
And we leave it that way. And it could be
it can
a
very
sign
well
of
be
something serious happening. So you are diabetic there, you have this problem coming up, wasn't even aware that you're diabetic. And you're drinking.
So you
That's
compound
the problem.
now. Yeah.
And then now it starts to affect the kidneys because, as I said, uncontrolled diabetes,
Right.
and it wouldn't be controlled if you're not aware.
Exactly. So
Right?
you are automatically,
So
it's
you
obviously
have that problem
uncontrolled.
there, and it
Yes.
starts to affect the kidneys. And to compound, you're
You're
drinking, and you might be a smoker.
Oh Lord.
That affects the kidneys too.
Right. Because it's of course because it's the kidney, and then of course you have the liver there, big fellow, but have to take care of all the toxins to try to get out of the body. Kidney helping. So yeah, that's
And
a problem.
we have an increase in the consumption of alcohol. A lot of people are drinking a lot. So you see, and if you are hypertensive, if you are diabetic, that's a no-no. Abuse of alcohol. Or in a case as how it is, you have to let these two people go entirely. All right, because it has damaging effects.
Oh boy. All right. I will want us. I don't know if it will be you. I know Ms. Hopkins is usually the more medically based one, but without a doubt, we will have to look at the effects of alcohol, because you had mentioned earlier on in the program that you all will have to, it is a possibility, it is something that you all possibly will have to look at some kind of survey research to really find out the causes. What are the major causes in Grenada of
this increase
of the and as you just mentioned, as we pulled in alcohol into the picture, the truth is, we're not saying that people didn't used to drink alcohol before. Of course, throughout time people have been right here, but there really has been an increase in alcohol consumption. There really has been in recent years in Grenada. There really, and exactly. Well, I mean, the Bible says that wine is for those that are of a sorrowful heart, word to that effect, or of a heavy heart. So I usually say, oh boy, maybe we have a lot of heavy-hearted, sad and harassed and stressed people. Because heavy heart means we're talking depression. When the Bible says a heavy heart, it's speaking about depression, it's speaking about feeling oppressed and feeling down. And of course we know what alcohol does, is a quote-unquote pick-me-up, for many people. And of course it seems to be the more accepted one. Well, until we decriminalize marijuana, it seems to be the more accepted one. Instead of everybody going and smoke a joint, you will grab a bottle of drink instead. Yet, what my thing I usually say to people is this, Patricia: just because something is legal, does it make it right for you? Illegal. It's not about its legality, and you listen to so many things throughout the earth that people are arguing for and making into a new cause to fight the government, whichever government in whichever part of the world for, or the system as it is, wanting it to be legal. Because it's legal, is it right? It's illegal to smoke. It's illegal for me to smoke, but I'll just go and just pump in cigarettes just because it's legal to do so, and at the cost of what?
Exactly.
And that's the challenge. Yes, it's legal to drink, We're not here even going down that road about which right or which wrong. The issue is, and it's very legal for you to eat what you want to, but then is it okay, is it right for the Kidney Foundation or the government or or your family members or you yourself having to now stress themselves to be able to fund your...
In some cases,
because we know it's not all. We understand, like in the case of where it is hereditary and so forth. But we're looking at the lifestyle one. If it is that our lifestyle has contributed to, you understand, illnesses that now others have to now be responsible for, to assist you in being able to stay alive and to be able to live a, fairly productive life, we now have to measure what is really right here. But I mean, that is a whole debatable thing. But we really have to be thinking those kinds of things. Yeah. But Patricia, you will have to come back for true, because we are far from finished. So I'm giving you the legal right to go ahead and ask for assistance for the Kidney Foundation, because we need it. We already went through the budget. No, for real. So just give folks, a little information concerning how they can contribute, because I know that you all are always, there is always a need, not you all, but there is always a need to be able to assist, because we do have individuals to assist.
All right. So dear friends, whoever is listening, if you just want to jot down our two main accounts, I can give you our account numbers. So our number at Cooperative Bank is 4 followed by 5 zeros, 4 0 0 0 0 0 5 7 4. So that is our account at Co-op Bank. At Republic Bank, our number is 91187 912. I'll repeat that. It's 91187 912.
Okay.
So persons, if you are so moved, anytime you can go to those those two locations, and you can give us any help you would like, as well as in some business places and so on you might go into, and you would see excuse me, you will see our donation boxes. Feel free to give whatever you can afford.
All right.
And just those simple things, sweethearts, help us so very well.
All right. And of course, if you can't remember the number, the account numbers, you can easily go into the same bank and just say, hey, Cooperative, at least remember the bank name.
Yes.
Cooperative or Republic, because even if you go in and you say, hey, I just want to make a deposit into the Kidney Foundation account, they will certainly be able to give it up, because how many other kidney foundations do you have? You know, so definitely they'll be able to do that. Your contact
or you
number.
can contact the president, who is currently Miss Marva Jilks, and her cell number is 534-1959. That's 534-1959. And once you get to her, she will direct you to any question that you may have. And also, we have a thrift store that is upstairs, Bargain House. You can go up the steps, and you can go to our store and purchase new items as well as used items, whether it be clothing or household items. Very good condition, because when we given donations of things, we go through it, everything, and you get very good bargains there. There are many people who come in there to shop for their graduation, school graduation.
Really?
Yes, we do get some very nice things.
Wow.
Yes. So you can go there and give us a little assistance there, and we assure you that every cent that is received at our thrift store goes towards the patient. We, the volunteers, do not get paid. All right, so ease your mind from that. Everything goes to the patients. Of course, we have our overheads, we have our rent to pay, we have our light bill and water bill to pay, and we have our yearly things that we'd have to pay, like, for instance, our insurance and what have you. So apart from that, apart from assisting the patients in any way in which we can afford to help them, that is how your money is spent. I say your money because you are assisting us. All right, and of course we audited, so we have to give account for how your money is spent, that you give to us to assist the patients. So feel free to do it. Nothing is spent on us, sweetie pies.
You love that term. I feel good when you call me by those names too. Okay, great. So Patricia, we are out of time, but it is great that you have been here, and I'm really glad for the update and the math lesson. Well, that we both worked on.
Try to, yes.
But we know for sure we weren't just calling numbers, because you know exactly what it is serious. So for those of you who really have been moved by the program, please reach out to the Patient Kidney Foundation. We know that there are lots of other causes. There are causes that you may be directly already involved in, the cancer, diabetes, whatever. But we're just saying, hey, it's a lot out there. We do understand. So if you are so moved to assist, your assistance is greatly appreciated. Well, I'm definitely out of time. Thank you so very much for stopping by, and have a great rest of the day. Next week, God's will, I'm supposed to be chatting with Reverend James from the Presbyterian Church. So talking about Presbyterian and them as part of the Conference of Churches in Grenada. So this, of course, is the CCG hour, always by you just after 10 into 11ish on a Friday morning. Thank you so much for stopping by. God bless you and goodbye.
You are my strength, strength like no other, strength like no other, reaches to me.